Good morning. Today we're going to build these two super heavy duty sawhorses out of treated lumber with framing screws, I-beam construction, stackable. If you want to see how we did it, stay tuned, because that's what we're going to do today. Good morning, and welcome to another Memphis Monday 396, our 32nd week of year 8. I got some big projects coming up. Again, I'm working on fixing some gates and some fences, and got to build a deck and all kinds of stuff. And I want to get started on that, but I don't have enough sawhorses. I got 6 or 8, but apparently that's not enough. So need to make some more. We're going to make for this episode, we're just going to make a couple. I may make some more offline later, but I went to the internet and saw various designs, and I decided to make my version of a I-beam design. So it's nothing like the ones I saw on the internet, and it's nothing like we built before. So it'll be new, I think. Anyway, can't think of anything else. Oh yeah, I can. Let's knock off the chit chat and get to work. Part of my problem is I've got all this wood drying. This is wood for my fence and gate I have to rebuild. And I got all these sawhorses, but they're all being used. Then I got an additional problem here. These are the deck boards for a small deck I'm going to be building. But I want to paint these. I want to stain and treat these deck boards before I install them. So I need, I need some additional sawhorses to make that happen. Incidentally, here's one of the tabletops we built last week. I got it out here in the sun, drying. I think this one actually has one more coat to go on the other side. And here's some more of those tabletops. Got them out here in the sun baking. Now these are the only sawhorses I got right now that aren't being used. I got these on my east shed roof here. Now I can use these for my job site sawhorses, but I need at least 2 more to paint those deck boards. I don't know if this drawing will help or hinder your understanding of what we're doing, but this is a side view of the joint we're going to be using for the sawhorses. You can make it out of 2x4s, and this is basically a fence picket making up this part of the I-beam. So the I-beam is here. That's the top 2x4, and that's the bottom 2x4. The top 2x4 will have a dado, 5/8 inch dado, 1/2 inch deep. And this is the bottom 2x4. It will have the mirror image dado running down the end of it, but it'll also have a 14-degree bevel that the sawhorse legs will be attached to that 2x4 with these framing screws. And then the actual I-beam then is made up of this fence picket that sits down in these dados. Let's get to work. I got that stock cut up for the I-beams. I'm setting on my dado head cutter now. I'm using 2 blades and 3 chippers. That adds up to 5/8, but that'll probably be too tight. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my stock through twice, and that should open it up. It's not something you'd probably think about, but for this Rube Goldberg system to work, for this 2x4 to come up and exactly meet up here with that 14 degree bevel, sitting against this bevel down here, the distance between the two has to be right, which means that this dado that we're cutting right now has to be exactly 1/2 inch deep. So we'll take care to make sure that's 1/2 inch deep. Okay, I'll get it about as right as I can get it here. And then we'll run a test piece through. And then we can tweak it from there. Okay, now I got my stock is 3.5, so I need 1 3/4 inches to the center of the dado set. Too tight. My fence picket won't get down in there. Okay, I'm going to show you a trick here. Instead of adding any spacers or anything to my fence, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the fence about 1 inch, or about 1/32 of an inch away from the blade. And then when I run this thing through in both directions, it will open up my gap. Let's test that theory. Well, it fits now perfect. It's not too light, not too tight, not too loose. But my trick here wasn't very tricky because And all the time I used setting this trick up, I could have put a spacer in there. But live and learn. Well, we got the I-beams, stock for the I-beams cut out. Let's look at the plans and see what the next operation is. Okay, on each of the straw backs, the I-beams, got to put this 14-degree ripping bevel. I'll do that on the table saw. Let me set that up and I'll show you how we're going to do it. Well, I got my setup and I did a test piece. It's a perfect fit. I'm starting to warm up to these full-size drawings. Okay, let me go ahead and do the real piece. I was going to glue these things together and nail them, but I changed my mind. You know, this is kind of experimental for me. I've never made this kind of sawhorse before. So I'm just going to put it together with screws. That way, knowing me, if I ever want to take it apart again, I can. Okay, take two. Make a starter hole, and maybe these things will start. I got the I-beams done. I just screwed the I-beam together, and I'm glad I did too, because I've already had to adjust this one because it wasn't plumb. Now we can put the legs on it. Since we're building two, I went ahead and put this one together. The next piece we have to cut out, we're almost done actually. The next piece we have to cut out are these legs. We have a 14-degree angle up here, and everything else is just square cuts. Let's cut those legs out. Now, this is an 8-foot 2x4, and what I'm going to do is put my 14-degree angle right in the center, and then I'll cut them to length after I get that angle cut. The legs are 35 inches. Okay, I have my stop block set up and cut them out 35 inches to the long side. And you know, if I'm off a 1/16, it doesn't matter as long as they're all four exactly the same length. Here's the reason I was making a big deal about getting this distance right here correct, because we're fixing to install the legs, but I want the leg to butt up against the centerpiece and also butt up against the top here with this little overhang over here as I can muster. So if this was too long or too short, none of this would have worked out. If this was shorter, this piece, the leg, would be away from this, away from the centerpiece. So let's, with that in mind, let's go ahead and install some legs. I'm attaching the legs using these framing screws. They're not deck screws, they're actually made for framing. Okay, here's our 14-degree angle here. And I want that butted up. Now I got 2 marks here at 4.5 inches. So nominally, if the world is perfect, that should be square to the frame here. And then I got 2 screws started down here at the bottom. Okay, so I want to, it should be flush with this angle here and flush up here. Okay, then I start a couple of screws up here. Okay, I'll just do that for all 4 legs and we'll be on a roll. Okay, what I'm doing here is installing the gussets. I'm only going to put 1 gusset on each leg pair. Now you can use a solid board here, but if you have some 3/4 inch exterior plywood, that's the best because it won't split or crack. Well, that does it for Memphis Money 396. Today we built these 2, super heavy duty sawhorses. They're way more than you ordinarily need. You'd only build something like this if you're going to be holding up, a couple of thousand pounds. They're just super, they're just super heavy duty. Made it out of all treated wood with framing screws, I-beam construction. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied. Well, that does it for Memphis Money 396, our 32nd week of year 8. Today we built a couple of I-beam sawhorses. Ordinarily, you just don't need sawhorses that strong. They're kind of expendable, and usually not holding up that much. But if you're going to be storing a lot of really heavy stuff on them, like I do, I stack a couple of tons of deck wood up on top of them. They really need to be strong. Otherwise, it's just an overkill. But I think you got the idea, and we took you through the construction process. So anyway, like, share, and favorite, and make sure you comment. And that's about all. Oh no, one more thing. Make sure you're back here next week for another exciting Memphis Monday. Thanks for playing along.